The unfortunate conversation that we always have to have with you is, of course, regarding the border crisis. But before we get into that, can you just kind of give us an update from Capitol Hill today? Are we heading towards a shutdown?
It sure looks like that. I was very disappointed that our Department of Defense appropriations rule was voted down today. That we had, I think, 6 Republicans voted with the Democrats and shot it down, so it can't be brought to the floor. I'm a veteran. I was an enlisted man in the Army. I'm also an officer in the Air Force. My son was a Navy SEAL. My dad was a World War II veteran. Let me tell you something. I will tell you that if you don't have a strong military in today's world, it's more dangerous today than I think anything I've seen and even read about. Maybe the 1930s would rival it today. But there's evil regimes rising up. The United States seems to be confused, and like the ancient Greeks said, you want peace, you better prepare for war. And if we don't support our military, give these guys a raise, goodness gracious, some of these enlisted troops are having to have food stamps to survive. These are our troops. And I couldn't believe that we could not get together to give these young folks a raise, because China is not sitting on their haunches. They are going forward fast. They intend to overtake us. They are already surpassing us in several military areas, notably hypersonics. And we better get our act together, because under this leadership, we have, and especially the Afghan withdrawal, we embolden these tyrannical regimes like the Chinese, the Russians. I think we wouldn't have had an invasion of Ukraine had not Putin seen the weakness of the Biden administration, the Iranians, the North Koreans. We better get our act together, and we better be number one in the world in our military.
Yeah, such wise words. We need to hear those every day. Sir, I want to turn to some of the things that are on the table, because I've been in Washington 35 years. I haven't seen an 8% reduction in discretionary spending ever on the table in my lifetime. There are significant border measures that conservatives have always wanted. They're going to address the border in the CR. Why are colleagues holding out when they've won so many concessions?
With a 4-seat majority.
Yes.
This bill, I think, is a good conservative bill. It's as conservative as we're going to get it. With a 4-seat majority, not having the Senate, and then having a spendthrift, incompetent president in the White House. And we've got to throw the gauntlet down, pass something, or we're going to be heading to a shutdown. And I would love to have a top line number that's very, very low too. I'd love to balance our budget within 1 year.
Right.
We're spending way too much money. I have 17 grandchildren. We're mortgaging their futures by spending this kind of money, $32 trillion in debt. But the reality is we're headed to a shutdown here unless we can get something together and hold these Democrats feet to the fire, especially President Biden, because if we don't put our bill on the floor, that means we're going to leave it up to them to put a bill. We need the most conservative bill possible. This was one of the most conservative I've seen since I've been serving up here, John and Amanda. And then I was amazed that we still can't get to yes and unite. We're not going to win this thing by not uniting. We're going to be disjointed. And I certainly hope that they will come around and that we will do the right thing. It is a conservative bill. It's cutting it's cutting a lot, billions of dollars. And H.R. 2, which is the border bill that we passed, the most conservative one that I've seen in 5 terms up here, that's going to be a major part of this bill today that we're trying to get passed. And we're getting things so we could get things done. But we have, it's like herding cats up here on the Republican side.
That it
is. Absolutely. Sir, there is one issue that Republicans are, I think, universally united on, and that is the border crisis and handling and addressing that. Unfortunately, with respect to this administration, the words from their lips and the work of their hands are two totally different things. They claim that they are telling Mexicans and Central Americans not to come, but we've all seen that viral video of the train carting illegal immigrants to our border. We now know that there are 177,000 migrants that have been lost inside the U.S., 54,000 or so that had invalid addresses, and the rest are that blank, no address listed for where they were ultimately going to end up, and then the rest of them with either I guess, invalid addresses. How do you at least address that? Because that's one of the things that seems to be imminently fixable if you just force people at the border to actually put down a legitimate address, check it on the spot, and make sure it's not blank.
They don't have enough personnel. They're taking, all they want to do is spend money having people processed. And quite frankly, they're not even given notices to appear in court anymore. The way this thing is going, it looks like August numbers are going to be about 230,000 will have crossed at that point in time. Believe it or not, almost 200 people who have been on the terrorist watch list, I think it was 160 something, have been caught. How many weren't caught? 6 million plus have crossed our border since Biden took office. 2 million of those were those that were detected but not captured. We are playing with fire here on all levels: crime, disease. I mean, the open borders, the terrorism possibilities. We know I've got contacts down in the Darien Gap right now. Of thousands of immigrants that are coming out of Colombia and all of South America, trying to get up into Panama. It's unreal.